So today is our final day, our last day of the 5-day group meditation practice, which means that we will practice the technique, the final technique outlined by Patanjali in the first book of the Yoga Sutra. Um, Patanjali, as you may know, in the Yoga Sutras, he breaks down the philosophy, psychology, and practice of yoga into 4 different books. So in the first book, he describes what yoga is. In the second book, he talks about how to practice so as to experience the state of yoga, the state of oneness consciousness. In the third book, he talks about the benefits. And in the fourth book, then he talks about the final objective, which is to liberate our consciousness so as to be able to experience our reality continuously as being part of one continuous whole. And so the 5 practices that we've been doing this week, the 5 individual techniques that we've been applying, they are preliminary techniques that are recommended to an individual practitioner so as to be able to become more effective at establishing a state of one-pointed focus, a state of concentration. And then when we've achieved this, when we have become more proficient in being able to establish this state of focus, this state of one-pointed concentration, then we're able to explore deeper meditative practices. The entire purpose of the whole process is to be able to develop concentration so that we can keep our attention focused. By keeping our attention focused, we're able to ignore everything that's happening in the world around us. But by being able to develop this capacity to ignore everything that's happening in the world around us, we start to weaken our association with the different things that we identify with. We weaken the association with identification with our material relationships, but also our relationship to our thought processes, where we can see everything as being in a dynamic of change, a dynamic of transformation. And so we're not as clingy or as attached to everything. We're able to experience it um, in harmony. So we learn how to dance with the rhythms of life in a way which is more harmonious and which ultimately allows us to experience greater physical, emotional, and mental well-being. All of this is brought about by the practice of yoga, all of it, which includes our meditation practice. The practice of yoga is a process of purifying our being in regards to how we perceive ourselves to be. Now, the whole process is a process of purifying our being on a physical level, on an emotional, energetic level, and on a mental level. So when we sit to meditate, initially we are challenged by the physical body, which we want to move, which we want to want attention of different kinds by throwing up there's different pains or different types of discomfort or whatever it might be. That's our initial challenge, is to overcome the demands of the physical body. And then as we settle into the process, we may notice that we are feeling agitated within ourselves on an emotional level or on an energetic level, where there's this vibrational force which is causing us just to feel restless within ourselves. Even though our bodies may be still, internally, we're feeling restless. And then when we move past that challenge, we get closer to understanding what is going on in the mind. And what's going on in the mind can be gross or subtle. But we need to understand that it's really the mind and what's going on in the mind that's going to impact what's going on an energetic level and what's going on a physical level. So the practice of meditation is about getting into the depths of mind as quickly as we can. And so we do that by using meditation technique, a concentration technique, such as the ones we've been practicing. We focus our attention in one space, and it allows us this opportunity to channel our focus to one specific point And in that way, we're able to disregard everything that's happening in the physical world, disregard everything that's happening on an energetic level or an emotional level. And then we're brought to the mental level. And by continuing to focus our attention, we learn how to disregard even what's going on a mental level. So there's just one single thought, one single occurrence. And that single occurrence is us just being. In our deeper meditation practices, which are outlined by Patanjali, as we continue to study the Yoga Sutras, he talks about how we can even let go of that single thought of I am or I exist. We can even move beyond that. But first, we need to become grounded in our capacity to establish a state of one-pointed focus. So today's technique, it's quite simple in its essence. And because of this, it can sometimes be a little bit more challenging, but it's of equal value to any of the other techniques we've used. And so it's just a case of trying it out and seeing if it's something that resonates with you or not. So we'll just take a comfortable meditative posture when we are sitting upright, ensuring we're in an environment where we won't be distracted. And we can just take one clean inhalation through the nostrils, filling the lungs. And then exhaling slowly, allowing the body to relax. Once again, one clean inhalation through the nostrils. Exhaling slowly, allowing the body to relax. And we can close our eyes. And with our eyes closed, we can become aware of our physical body, from toe to head and from head to toe, seated in this meditative posture, still and poised. And sitting attuned to our physical body, we can disregard all that is occurring in the external world. We can choose to free our minds from any preoccupation with what's going on in the world around us, the external world. And such preoccupations occur as growths, thought waves in the mental field. So we're endeavoring to disregard thoughts in relation to our lives on an external level, disregarding thoughts which cause us to identify with any aspect of physical reality regarding our relationships, our work, our possessions, our physical well-being, the activities that we like to do and that we want to do. We simply let go of it all. We choose to do this. Right now, for the period of our practice, we are no longer interested with anything that is occurring in the physical aspect of manifested reality. And so we sit internalized within our bodies, our attention inward. We direct it to the space in the center of the forehead, the mind's eye. And now we choose to disregard and ignore all aspects of subtle reality, the energies within the body, the emotions, wherever we may feel an emotional response occurring within the physical body, within our internal being. We just let it go, disregarding it. For the period of our meditation practice, this is not something which concerns us. And continuing to look deep into our mind's eye, we bring our attention to the mental aspect of our being. We may notice rising thought waves. They may be gross, they may be subtle, or they may be extremely subtle. And we set the intention to sit without any interest in identifying with any of these rising thought waves. Although they may occur, it's not our objective to entertain them or give them attention. Looking deep into our mind's eye, our objective is to simply sit and be. And so we disregard all thought processes, letting go of the expressions of the mental aspect of manifested reality. And as we sit here, intent on ignoring reality as it expresses on a physical, an energetic, and a mental level, looking deep into our mind's eye, we can think of someone, an individual, a master who demonstrates oneness, who demonstrates a clarity of consciousness. We can imagine an individual who we know to demonstrate pure conscious communion. And if we should be privileged to have a teacher or a guru, or to have studied under an individual who demonstrates an involved awakening, one of emotional and spiritual maturity. We can hold their image in our mind's eye. And we do this for the purpose of imagining when they sit to meditate, when they sit to practice formal meditation, what do they experience? And as we sit poised, still in our meditative posture, looking deep into our mind's eye, we can endeavor to experience what we imagine the great illumined masters to experience. By choosing to have the mindset of a great master, we are able to let go of all aspects of manifested reality and simply experience our existence, being. And so we sit absorbed in the silence, allowing ourselves to go deeper and deeper within. abiding in this state of clarified awareness as we move into the final moments of our practice. We can set the intention that throughout the course of our day, as we tend to our duties and fulfill our responsibilities, that we are able to remember the mindset of the masters. As we carry out our daily affairs, we're able to shift our perspective, our conscious perspective, simply by remembering and imagining the mindset of a master. And in doing so, we're able to bring ourselves into this clarified state of awareness, where our consciousness is relatively purified. And so we can set this as our intention. And as we prepare to conclude our session, we can acknowledge the movements in the mind as being a natural expression of nature. And although, like a river flows, and we allow the water to trickle away, thoughts arise. But we don't have to identify with them. We don't have to determine how we experience life based on the narrations of the mind. We become aware of the energetic body. We can accept that it's natural for emotions to rise up in the body in response to external and internal stimuli. This is an organic, natural occurrence. But we don't have to allow it to determine how we interact and engage with life. And as we return our awareness to the physical body and the external environment, we can acknowledge that these are natural expressions of nature. And although we may have preferences, we're able to accept that reality is. This is how things are. And so, remaining in a state of clarified awareness with the mindset of a master, we can appreciate reality expressing on a mental, emotional, and physical level, and simply abide as the witnessing presence. Ever content, ever peaceful, ever existing. So now feel the chair beneath you. Hear the sounds around you. When you're ready, open your eyes. What's interesting about the technique we just practiced is this idea of being able to shift our consciousness. My teacher, Roy Eugene Davis, he was a direct disciple of Paramahansa Yogananda. And he used to always say that we're able to, we can spend our morning in meditation practice. We can use 30 minutes or 40 minutes for meditation practice. and the formal meditation practice is of great benefit. However, throughout the course of the day, we it's not a case of us having just to be subjected to what's going on around us, that we're still have that capacity to just shift our awareness. So although in meditation practice we're endeavoring to use a process to go deeper and deeper within, when we're interacting with life, we can remember that we can just shift our consciousness, we can shift our perspective, just with intention. So I remember listening to him talking about this, and I found it very inspiring, but I also found it challenging, because it was kind of like, okay, so when I'm involved with my life at work, doing things, interacting with my family, and I'm having those, I'm identifying with my ordinary sense of who I am and my own thought processes. What does he mean by being able to shift my consciousness so that I can just return to that state of clarified awareness? And it took me some time, and it has taken me some time to kind of come to the conclusion that what he's really getting at is the capacity to just let go, to let go of the idea that we need to control everything, or the idea that um, our thoughts are true, because our thoughts often appear to have a valid argument. They can also often appear to be very true and to be saying all the right things. But this is very much from our internal perspective. And then it's just recognizing that the sooner we're able to let go of those thought processes, the sooner we're able to just, doesn't matter, then the sooner we're able to just be at peace. And it's a challenging one, because, especially if you've had a heated conversation with someone, or if somebody's done something which isn't necessarily to your liking or may upset you in some way, we can start going off on these rants and these thought processes. And then that maybe causes us to act in a certain way or say a certain thing. And so, from what my understanding of what Roy said, and through the practice of it, by being able to shift our consciousness, we're able to just see all those thought processes as being natural occurrences. They happen, but they're not what I need to identify with. I don't need to define who I am and how I'm going to interact with the world based on what they're saying. And so the practice of meditation allows us that capacity to just take a step back from our thoughts. But while we're engaging in life, it's having that um, memory, and I suppose, constant reminder that we are able to just shift our perspective whenever we want. And that's the informal practice, I suppose, when we're not sitting to meditate. That's how we can continue with the practice in an informal manner. So there are the 5 techniques that we practiced this week. I trust that one of them will be appealing and help us to guide your meditation practice and to bring you to a state of one-pointed concentration. One thing I would say is that sometimes I've found that with certain meditation practices, I might try them at one point in my life, and they might not resonate with me so much, and I don't really like them, so to speak. They're not really the ones that I want to do. But then maybe after a while, I'll try them again, and I go, oh, actually, it is more appealing now. So sometimes it doesn't always resonate with you when you receive it, but it can be worth going back and trying out again.